That's not unique to her, though. All young bears tend to munch on vegetation. Younger bears, smaller bears can make a living much easier on vegetation compared to the larger adults. So if you see some of the smaller bears at Brooks River and you're wondering, well, I'm worried about it, it doesn't seem like it's getting enough food. Well, those younger bears are able to make a living much easier on that vegetation. Grazer here, though, is a skilled angler. She's a big female, carrying a lot of fat on her. That's partly from last year, and also because she's so skilled at fishing. Saw her walk into that far pool, spot a fish, pounce on it. Now she can enjoy the rewards of her effort. I do think if we get a good photo of her in the fall and put her in Fat Bear Week, I do think she will be one of the favorites. Over the past several years, she's been very fat in the fall, and again, indicating that she's a successful bear. But she's often quite cryptic in the fall. She's not a bear that we see regularly, and when we do see her, it's often very early in the morning or late in the evening in the fall, so difficult to get photos of her. And that's one of the sort of the requirements to get into Fat Bear Week. Fat Bear Week really is a celebration overall of the the ecosystem, its abundance, and its potential. And it's also to get everyone to understand how important fat is to brown bears, to their survival. And to get into Fat Bear Week, really have to be a well-known bear. That's one of the easier ones to recognize. We also need to be able to get a photo of those bears. And if we can't get a photo of Grazer in the fall, then unfortunately she will be preemptively eliminated from the tournament. You saw how fast she ate that fish, though. A couple of gulls fighting over any scraps that might remain in that area. Back at it once again, 2 for 2. Now I'm going to try to time, you can do this at home with me if you want, I'm going to try to time how fast she eats that, so I'm starting my stopwatch. Watch her against that far wall there. And I think she's not necessarily moving to that spot because she's worried about another bear right now stealing her fish. She recognizes number 755 as a bear who maybe isn't a bear who's prone to steal fish. If that were the case, if 755 had that reputation and was moving towards her especially, she would vacate the water with her catch to try to protect it. But I do think it's also harder for bears to eat their catch in the fast-flowing water area. It's much easier in that shallow spot that she's in right now. Looks like she's taking a little longer to eat this fish compared to the last one. Coming up on 1:30 since she started munching on it. Now she's done, yeah. So that was about 1:35 seconds according to my watch. Back in the far pool here. Some of those plunges were sort of blind plunges. She knows that salmon are in that area. She knows that salmon can't see them. And of course, she's probably not conceptualizing it like I am. But bears, I do believe, are mindful animals that are able to make decisions, recognize opportunities when they're there. And eating a salmon in 1:30 really isn't a slow pace at all. I mean, those are big fish. 4 to 8 pounds. The fastest I have seen a bear eat a salmon is 31 seconds, and that was number 402 just this year. So that's an incredible rate to eat a 4 to 8 pound salmon. And of course, I don't know how big the fish actually was. but it did demonstrate the profound hunger that these bears experience, especially those mothers that don't have the fat reserves of a single female or an adult male. But fishing is an acquired skill. Bears have the instincts to do it. They have the tools like big teeth, sharp claws, strength and quickness to catch fish successfully, but they have to learn how to do it. 128 has found a lot of success in the far pool. She'll go to the lip of the waterfall when salmon are jumping. I'd be surprised if she goes there this evening, because so few salmon have been jumping over the last few days that she probably has tried it, found it unsuccessful, so she's looking for other opportunities in the far pool. And this is a spot that she wouldn't be able to access if there were other large adult males trying the same spot. So adult males sit on the top of the bear hierarchy, and adult females are typically below those. Disposition plays a role as well, especially with 128 when she is with cubs, or at least her first litter that we know of. She was quite assertive and defensive around other bears, so she held a slightly higher rank than she does right now, when she doesn't necessarily need to defend any offspring. You can see 755 there not paying any attention to her, so again that indicates to me that he is not only a tolerant bear of her presence, at least in that location, but perhaps also maybe more dominant than her. The Grazer here is identifiable because of those big blonde ears, even in the fall as her coat darkens into a more sort of uniform brown color. Those ears are still very blonde, almost glowing under the right light. And then her face is fairly distinctive too, a very sloped, evenly sloped facial profile. She doesn't have a very prominent brow ridge like a lot of other bears. So that dish-shaped face, that dinner plate-shaped face, that big rounded face that is characteristic of brown and grizzly bears, is not so prominent on Grazer. And look how close she's getting to 755, and he is just not paying attention to her. So again, showing tolerance, but also perhaps demonstrating that he's a more dominant bear than her. That's, again, a characteristic of dominant bears, a lack of acknowledgement for bears that they think are subordinate and likely to yield to them. Right. So I've been watching, 128 here. But unbeknownst to me, recently, another